8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to X-Wingin It. We are back this week, and before we get into anything else here with good old Darth Biggie and Travis Salone here, let's first off, I want to thank my sponsors, TRG Toys and Collectibles. Again, thank you, TRG Toys and Collectibles. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here doing this great show. We got kind of a lot to talk about today. We just got some breaking news that just came through that we're kind of researching here as we go. And I also want to apologize to you for any kind of weird technical difficulties that go on tonight. Unfortunately, Windows is being Windows and decided to update and do everything all at once and crash my computer, so I'm coming at you live from my phone. But I also want to welcome back good old Brendan, Darth Biggie here, and Indiana Salone. Travis, welcome back to X-Wingin It. I know we've been off for a few weeks, but it's good to be back on things. So before we get into actually what we were going to talk about on the show tonight, let's talk a little bit about what we just saw popping up online. So Deadspin has been exclusively posting that the Acolyte has officially been canceled for season 2. Travis, I know, did you pull up much to read about that? And are you kind of surprised? And Brendan, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, so right as we're getting ready to go live, I saw the report from Deadline that it's canceled, exclusively reported no season 2, which I'm not entirely surprised given how the series started. And it was pretty divisive, and it was kind of more in the camp of we don't want more of this. But I think by the time the series ended, or the season ended, well, now I guess the whole series ended, I think the three of us kind of came back around and said, hey, we could do a season 2. Yeah. I thought they might green light a season 2, but yeah, it looks like Acolyte is a one and done.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually, prior to hearing about this, I was looking at some viewership numbers that someone had reported for like all the series, and it definitely was the lowest. So I get it was super expensive and it didn't get the reception it wanted. I kind of think unfairly. I really enjoyed it, but there were just there was a group that was determined to dislike it before it even came out. I think it had some really high highs, like one of the best live action sequences we've had in Star Wars. I think it's unfortunate that we don't get to see if it can pull it all together for a season 2, but yeah, enjoyed what we got and look forward to something else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that it, like we talked about multiple times as the season went on, it took a long time to get to where it finally sort of got to with the story. But I was happy, I guess, with the foundation that it laid. So I was kind of, I want to say I was like super anxious and eager for a season 2, but I was definitely curious and intrigued by the prospect of where do they go now with the story. I imagine as they were writing season 1, I think I read some reports about this previously. I think they'd kind of already storyboarded, plot developed a little bit where season 2 was going to go. So it's a little disappointing to know that we're never going to see kind of that full realization on screen. Now, of course, this being Star Wars, comics, books, etc., I'm sure that somehow this story may continue to be told in some other sort of medium besides live action.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's kind of surprising because it kind of picked up at the end. It really got people going. I know it got me more interested into it to where it was at a point to, okay, I could use a little bit more of this. And it was, we got a little bit of Darth Plagueis, we got a little bit of Yoda, we got a little bit of where everything was going. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because, again, like, everyone has said, just the viewership was low. Everything was kind of down with it, and people just did not want to give it a chance. So unfortunately, it looks like this might be it for the Acolyte. We don't know for sure yet. It hasn't been officially announced, but I'm going to guess that we are pretty much done with it on that. That's a pretty bold thing for Deadspin to come out and exclusively say if they, they're just going on, what little birdie's telling them. But we'll see, in the future and see what happens with that. So obviously we got some news this past couple of weeks with San Diego Comic-Con. We even got some news at Fan Expo, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But one of the things that was talked about, and a video was released. Unfortunately, it wasn't released publicly yet. But one of the things that was brought up, obviously, was the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, if you got a chance to see this before it got taken down, because I mean, the Facebook censors were hitting it left and right as soon as it came up. There's some interesting stuff in here. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about it. So I'm sorry if you don't want to hear some of these things, but it is public, and it will come out eventually, so you'll see it in the trailers. But, I mean, Travis, Brennan, have you both got to see this video yet?
I did not.
Oh.
I've been so far behind. So when you guys told me about it tonight, I was like searching. And it's just a bunch of dead links on Facebook, on Reddit, on everywhere was leading to nothing. So
yeah, I was able to snag a mirror site. I think a few hours after it sort of became knowledge that it was out there, so I was able to thankfully watch it. I will say for those that haven't seen it, don't feel too much like you're missing out. There was some new clips from what they've started to film with the series, but probably half of it was just spliced together clips from season 1, season 2, and season 3 to kind of set the stage. So it's definitely 100% just teaser. You're not missing out on anything too much. And I'm sure at some point it'll be out there to keep your eyes peeled. The internet's a crazy place. I'm sure the links will pop up when you least expect it.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, one of the cool things that was shown in there, obviously we see Zeb making his return to live action. We didn't get a lot of him in the first couple seasons. Obviously, we get that little cameo. So we don't know how much more he'll be in there, but I'm excited to have Zeb back, especially with Steve Bloom still doing the voice of Zeb. It looks like there's going to be, again, a lot of bounty hunter action. It's going to be some fun stuff in there. It's hard telling what we're going to get with this film. I'm still like, I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. Again, none of us really do, but I am a little excited for it. Again, it's Star Wars. How can I not be excited for it? But at the same time, it's like, is this another story that we need? Or is this something kind of like a big filler movie till we get to the other movies as well? So who knows with that? I'm anxious to see what's going on. You know, people were pretty excited about it who were there for the panel and everything. So it looks like there's some good things coming our way with this film. But who knows what's going to happen from there. So everyone, if you keep seeing me look over, I do have limited use with one of my computers, so I'm trying to bring up graphics and everything for us, so that way you're not just staring at our lovely faces through this whole episode with nothing fun to look at.
I will say though, I was excited in the teaser that it looked like there may be the resurrection of a certain something that I was a big fan of from the first couple seasons.
Oh, what, Mythosaur?
What's that?
I said the Mythosaur.
No, the old ship, Greg. I'm sure you caught that.
Oh yeah, we saw that in there. So that's another thing. Is like, when is this exactly taking place? So that's another question I really have. So I've heard multiple things. And again, I can't verify because I haven't heard officially yet from Disney. But who knows what we'll get from there.
I guess I'm hopeful that the movie sort of takes Mando back to his sort of bounty hunter sort of roots, to where and that's kind of where season 3 left off with, hey, there's Imperials out there, there's these remnants that need taken care of. The New Republic doesn't have the manpower or the authority to really do it, so we're going to contract out. I'm thinking they're probably going to reuse some of the Rangers of New Republic ideas and stuff that they had for that series before it got scrapped. So I'm pretty excited about this one. So that's the one thing that I missed out with Mandalorian as the seasons went on was, hey, Mandalorian, he's a bounty hunter. Go off and do bounty hunter sort of thing instead of these big, elaborate restore Mandalore, gigantic stories that he got himself involved in.
Oh, you mean like the Book of Boba Fett too? Oh, wait, never mind. I'm gonna get on that again. But obviously, so we have that coming out. We have something to look forward to in 2025 or 26. I can't remember which was the release date. We've got a little bit of time before that one comes out. But we have one coming here in December that have some people excited, have some people kind of on the fence. But we are going to talk about it a little bit, and that's obviously the Skeleton Crew here. And before we talk about it, why don't we just go ahead and watch the trailer?
will set the course of your entire future.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is? I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello? Be careful where you step. We're lost. Really lost.
Tis dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
You're a Jedi.
All right, so we had a nice little look at the Skeleton Crew there, and hopefully it came through okay. But kind of interesting. I've always wanted to know what like a suburban Star Wars image would look like, you know, with mowing the grass and everything. So we kind of got to look at that. But there are some interesting things in here. Obviously, we know that's, you know, the older generation, we're kind of moving on, you know, and Star Wars definitely needs to bring in a younger generation to keep things going. And that is definitely what this, you know, Disney Plus series is made for. It's not really made for us right now on this video. It's made for the kids to kind of start growing into Star Wars and, you know, liking and going from there. But there is some interesting things in there. We got a little Jedi action. We've got, you know, an broken Imperial droid. We have a little Max Rebo looking kid. There's all kinds of fun. There's some fun little wholesome stuff in this trailer. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts, Brendan? I'll start with you on this one. Seeing the trailer and knowing kind of what it's a little bit about. What are your thoughts on this series?
Like you said, I don't think we're the target audience. I'm really hoping that like other people are able to take it with that kind of grain of salt and approach it that way. And the show gets a fair shake. Like I've already heard a little buzz about suburban Star Wars. So like people upset about it. It's just like, it's whatever. It's fun. Like prove that there isn't like, yeah, it's not something we've really seen before, but it gives a familiar place for kids and even for us to connect with and identify, and it takes off from there. So I think I want to say there's like a lot of spirit of like 90s movies, but maybe that's just because I haven't watched movies like this since the 90s. But I don't know. I hope it's good. It seems to hit a lot of those notes of like exploration, coming of age sort of stuff. And yeah, I'm excited to watch it, and I hope it hits.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way with you on a lot of that. And Travis, I mean, what are your thoughts on this one too?
Yeah, I mean, echoing what Brendan said, I know it's asking a lot for today's Star Wars fandom to give something a fair shake before we review, bomb it, and write it off as the worst thing ever before it's even aired in an episode or anything. But that's just what we do around here now. And yeah, I've seen people complain about the suburbia thing. You know, there's more than Tatooine in Star Wars. We've had so many episodes of series, everything revolving around Tatooine. There's thousands of planets out there. So who's to say that one's not just a normal, like everyday planet where people just live and have normal lives and all that sort of stuff? And it definitely has that sort of Goonies, late 80s, early 90s come together kid sort of feel. So I'm going into it cautiously optimistic. I know John Watts is involved in it, and he's had a pretty good track record as of late with the Spider-Man trilogy that Marvel's involved with Tom Holland. Jude Law is an excellent actor. I'm sure he's going to be great in the role. Definitely curious about his character. He's recently come out and gone on record saying Jod Nah, his character's name, is just one of the names his character goes by. So who is he really going to potentially be? And in one of the articles that Deadline, again, released exclusively several weeks ago, all the people involved hinted at there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs for us, the older generation. They're going to catch some Easter eggs tying back to the original trilogy and so forth. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be lighthearted. You're going to it. Hey, these are kids going out, exploring the galaxy, coming across new things. Not everything has to revolve around the Imperials or the First Order and this big galaxy changing sort of things. There can just be everyday lives and people and things going on, which I think this show will start to show.
Yeah. And to me, it has that, I don't know why, but I get the Flight of the Navigator, like, kind of feel from it. It definitely does have that 80s kind of feel. And looking back at it, it's not for us, everybody. So before everyone starts downing.
Did we lose Greg? Did Greg lose us?
Oh, no, I think we're still here. We lost Greg.
Going into it. And hopefully.
No, now we lost him again. I think what Greg was saying is before everybody starts coming and crashing and being like, oh, you guys are out of touch and you're Disney apologists and you're not true Star Wars fans because you like this sort of stuff. It's okay.
Yeah.
Not everything. Like, I'm sure my nephews are going to love this because they're going to see kids in Star Wars that are like their age doing stuff, and they can go off and, play with their toys and their figures and stuff and be like, oh, hey, I could go and explore, the galaxy, because kids can do that sort of stuff. It doesn't always have to be the adults and, Vader and Kylo Ren. There can be kids involved in things too.
Yeah. And hopefully this is, I'm coming at you guys from my phone today. Obviously these computer glitches are really going on here. So hopefully it just keeps going here. So we're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. I'm sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties tonight. Hopefully we'll get back on track here. I just got to finally buy a new computer and get things rolling here. But the next thing we're going to talk about real quick is this weekend I had the opportunity to attend Fan Expo in Chicago. Now, this was actually a pretty interesting show because we're starting to see the return of Mark Hamill coming back to a few conventions. Obviously started out in LA for Fan Expo, and then we ended up getting him here. And I will tell you, before I get into what I saw there and everything, were you guys pretty surprised with the Star Wars lineup that we saw for Fan Expo this year?
Yeah, there was a ton of big actors, good actors there. I wish I could have gone. Just couldn't swing it. So, but I think it feels like at least the conventions around here, there's been a lot of, I feel like Star Wars actors are kind of staples. So, but I do think getting someone like Mark Hamill into the mix again is kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was cool to see Mark Hamill, making the rounds again, get everybody out there that's, trying to get an autograph of his someday that wants to swing it. Hey, there's still a chance for you. He's, kind of back here on the circuit. And yeah, the Star Wars lineup was pretty impressive. And I know kind of at the last minute, they added on Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian, Moff Gideon. It was definitely an excellent lineup from a Star Wars content perspective. And I guess, the more things we have with Star Wars now coming out, the more actors will be involved in it to where there could be tons of Star Wars people kind of at all these conventions, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, this convention, honestly, was one of the most packed and crazy conventions I have seen in a long time when it comes to like getting people through lines to, issues to everything. It was kind of, I don't think Fan Expo realized the crowd they were going to get with this lineup. And you can see it from the moment, like the workers were deer in headlights. It was just everywhere. It was hard to get through aisles. It was hard to get, especially if you're walking by the autograph areas. And even with Mark Hamill upstairs away from everybody else, downstairs was still that packed. Excuse me. Again, there was a few issues that arise, like some people who actually pre-bought tickets got left out because they were also taking cash at some points for some of the actors. That was actually a pretty bad point on that we see brought up on the Fan Expo kind of group pages. And some people just losing their cool as well while they were there, because it was just ridiculous. I've never, at a regular convention, this was close to, I kind of were thinking of Celebration, of how packed it was, and moving through things. I mean, it was wild. I mean, I was shocked. I've never seen, Saturday was just nuts. If you didn't like to touch people or be in a tight area, it was intense. So I give it up to everybody who was working there. There was definitely a lot of changes, and I'll talk about that stuff in my Nerdy Vet review of it. But overall, it was nice. I had a chance to meet Gina, which she was awesome to talk to. Very nice person. Got Morrison. Morrison was there. And speaking of Morrison, so we're going to talk a little bit more about some Fan Expo news that came out. So they did a panel on Sunday and was talking about Morrison, and Morrison was talking with Screen Rant, and it was brought up to him about good old Boba Fett. Were we going to see any more Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Grogu? Now, this is actually kind of a little shocking to me, but again, this isn't the first time we heard this, because I've always seen plenty of Star Wars actors say that they're not doing something, and then next thing you know, they're right there in it. But he said that there is no Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Is that surprising to you guys, or did you think that we would see that return? Because I was shocked we didn't see him in season 3. So what about this with him not being in the movie now? What are your thoughts on that? Travis, we'll start with you on it.
I'm not surprised he said that, because I don't know what else he could have said. If he was going to be in it, there's no way on earth Lucasfilm / Disney would allow him to say, oh yeah, Boba Fett's going to be in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, Katie Sackhoff has said something to a similar effect of, I don't know, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you, or they would kill me, kind of a thing, jokingly.
No.
Disney has things, for the most part, pretty locked down until they want things to be revealed. So I'm not shocked in the least bit. I think it's almost, the interviewer, has to ask the question. But it's almost like as soon as you ask it, you know what they're going to say. Basically, I can't confirm, I can't deny, I'm still waiting for the call. Ming-Na, when her character died, well, I'm not coming back, nobody's contacting me, I'd love to come back, and then, there, she shows up. So, yeah, this is not the first time something like this has been said. It won't be the last. I think he will eventually make an appearance again somewhere. I think the character is way too popular just to, sort of die on the vine, and Book of Boba Fett is the last time we see Boba Fett in live action. So I expect him to show back up in something, whether it's The Mandalorian and Grogu, I don't know. I'd bet money he is and will show up in that. Like, filming's just started too, so there's still a long way to go on this before full cast is done.
Yeah, Brendan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same sort of thing. I think love, hate, whatever your feelings on Book of Boba Fett, hate, super hate. It's the character is still popular. Boba Fett is still popular. It left in a place where you can bring the character in and still do stuff with it. It's not like he was written out or painted into a corner that he can't come out of.
Yeah.
I think, personally, I don't think we get more than a cameo of him. I guess I'm interested in their approach to Mandalorian and Grogu. Is this introducing it to another audience? If you introduce too many characters and people haven't watched all the series and whatnot, it becomes confusing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's after the credits scene, because that was the best part of Book of Boba Fett. So hit us with a good after credits, lead into Mando season 4 or whatever I guess not Mando season 4, but whatever the Avengers Endgame is, we're gonna get.
Oh, the big crossover type movie.
Yeah, we're gonna see Boba Fett live action again. If it's not this movie, it's gonna be in the crossover event finale. So take it or leave it. I'm fine with it if it's done well and it's just kind of a quick hit, but I don't expect him to be a main part of it, and I don't feel like he needs to be. Yeah,
and we'll excuse me. We can hear all that we want with this, but Travis said in the article I wrote earlier today, we've heard this multiple times. I mean, we can even say Harrison Ford when he was talking about, in the Captain America movie, when they asked him about Red Hawk and he goes, "What's a Red Hawk?" Like they're not going to tell us if they're in it. They can't. They signed the NDA. It's not going to happen. I understand asking the question. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you do as a journalist. But we're never going to get the actual answer and know what's going to happen until that season is over. So it would be surprising if he's not in there, just for the fact that if we're going back to the roots of the Mando being a bounty hunter, who best to have him out there with? And it would be Boba Fett, if we could get the old Fett that we saw from Mandalorian season 2 back. So it's hard to tell. I hope we do get to see a little bit more Fett. I don't think we need a Boba Fett season 2. I don't think it'll ever happen. I think that has definitely been written off, just for the fact that, this first season was just horrible. Again, I'm sorry for anybody, and it's hard for me to say that. It breaks my heart to say it, but that's just how I feel on that. But overall, though, I'm not surprised you said it. Obviously the media world went up in a frenzy this morning writing about it after the panel yesterday. But that's what we do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Boba Fett returns on that. And from there, I mean, overall, the Fan Expo was a pretty good time. Hopefully next year it'll be as good. Hopefully they'll work out some of these kinks, get things rolling out, a little bit smoother for us. But again, the Mark Hamill experience, I actually got to go with a friend up there for their signature, and it was nice to see him. But I can tell you right now, if you were hoping to sit there and, have a little conversation with the Jedi Master, that was not going to happen. Literally, it was thank you, boom, before you can say you're welcome, you're already out the door. So it was pretty intense on that aspect, but that's not hard to believe when they have that many autographs going through there.
Yeah.
So,
now,
but
I guess on the topic of Fan Expo, Greg, because obviously you were able to go. Brendan and I could not make it this year. The venue itself, does it have room to expand and grow, or is it pretty much capped out where it is currently?
It has room. It's just the way they utilize it. It could definitely go further, but I don't know how the building works, so I don't know how they can do, like, if they can only do certain things. So I'm anxious to see what they do on that. There was like accommodations, like what some of the biggest complaints about, for example, is they changed a little bit of their policies, especially if you are an ADA person. They changed it a little bit this year to where there's no longer any ADA, I don't want to say perks, but, accommodations when it comes to autograph lines. You either have somebody wait in line for you, or you wait in line with your wheelchair or device or walker or whatever it was. The biggest problem with that, and I didn't have a problem waiting in line, because I actually used my walker for this one. But the biggest problem was the lines they set up were not wide enough for wheelchairs and walkers to go through. So, I was running over people's feet left and right with the walker, and the people with the wheelchairs, I felt bad for, because they were like just about knocking people over because they had to do the snake line. So it was very hard for people to do that. And there were some spots where they said that people could wait for them. There were some spots that said that if you left line, you're out of luck. The other thing they changed this year was the VIP process. So VIPs went 100% through before anyone else did in line. So it didn't matter what it was, the VIPs went through. Now, there was a few lines where the people still kind of snaked them a little bit and did like 3 VIPs, 1 general mission, 3 VIP, like that. But 90% of the lines, they were saying, okay, all VIP have to go. And what this caused was some people who pre-bought tickets for some things didn't get their autographs, because there was also some places that took cash as well. So what would happen was you'd be sitting going through, and the next thing you know, in one scenario that we saw was there was a couple that were getting close to their photo shot or their photo time, and they were next, and a VIP guy comes running up, and he had like 25 things to sign. So those people had to leave the line, and I'm not joking. Like, he had a suitcase full of stuff that he pulled out, and it was ridiculous. So that people had to leave, and I don't know if they ever got their autograph or not. So there are some things that they really have to look at on there. I understand the VIPs pay a little bit more, but we got to get away from the mindset that if you can't afford VIP, you don't matter. And that's what I kind of felt to a lot of people there at Fan Expo.
Yeah, it sounds like they've reached kind of a growing pains point to where if you're going to continue to be this big, which who knows, the Mark Hamill thing is sort of potentially an outlier. If we're never going to have a Mark, then maybe you don't have this same sort of issue. But yeah, definitely need to work out some of those kinks, I guess, and from what you were saying. And I don't know what the solution is, but I really wish that conventions would somehow figure out some sort of happy medium between, hey, you've got a couple things you need to get signed, and you're signing 50 things because you're a send-in service or you're a flipper or something. Because I don't know how many conventions I've been to anymore, and one of the VIP or whatever, perk first in line people, because this is a business for them. So it's a business expense to buy the expensive ticket, and they pull out 50 Thrawn pops
Yep.
and have Lars sign each one with his autograph, his character name, maybe a quote. Finally gets through that. Well, it's time for my break. And literally one VIP person essentially has gotten through the line before the break.
Yeah.
There's got to be something done, because it's really starting to make the hobby for just the random person like me or you or any of us, where it's like, hey, I've got one 8x10, or I've got one thing I want signed because I'm a big fan. This isn't a business for me. This is a hobby. And yet I'm standing in line for 4 or 5 hours because all these VIPs are making money off of this. And it's really starting to make it not as enjoyable. The conventions are still fun, don't get me wrong. But it makes it kind of a drag anymore from when that happens.
Yeah, it was nuts. Like, I can't tell you, for the size of the venue and everybody was in there. It was that Saturday for Fan Expo. I'll just combine Fan Expo, C2E2, Cincinnati, some of the, like, Indiana, some of the ones like that. It just felt like that was the busiest one I have ever been to. It obviously doesn't compare to like New York, but it was up there. It was nuts that day. And obviously when you have Hamill, Hayden and Dawson, and you've got all these people here, you're going to have massive crowds like you did. And so I don't know what the answer is going to be. Friday was interesting because it was like a 4 to 9 opening. People could get in at 2, but there wasn't much going on. Not a lot of celebrities were there. I don't know. It's just, there's so much stuff that it can be done. And, looking at the pages, and trust me, I'm not complaining about, and I want to make this clear for you. I'm not complaining about the ADA policy. I have no problem. I waited just like everybody else did. That's why I brought my walker with the seat, and, I just sat there. But I felt more sorry for the people who had the wheelchairs and they had to go through those lines. And, and I apologized on the Fan Expo page to all the people's toes I ran over. I couldn't imagine all the people that they hit as well. Like, it was nuts. So
it's not so much about the policy. It's that if you're going to put the policy in place, you have to make sure it works.
Yeah,
and
there was lack of seating. There was no seating anywhere. And there were some scenarios where, and I don't know if it's true or not. Sometimes I think people post on these pages to upset, people and round it off. But, there was things where, some of the workers told, some of the people that you got to suffer just like everybody else and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And there were some workers there that were fed up. You could tell, they didn't want to deal with us anymore. But there were some good ones there as well. So again, that's every convention. But overall, I haven't given my official grade yet. I don't know if I can yet in my head. But I would say it's hanging probably in the low B area for this convention, for everything worked together. So we'll see what happens next year if I decide to go back or not. Probably will, but it was kind of at the point now to where is it worth it for me going back to it, and what's everything there. And then the other thing was getting into some of the panels. Like, even some of the panels got cut off where you couldn't get in, like the Scream panel. I know the Mark Hamill panel. There was a lot of people that got left out and couldn't see, what's going on there. But with that, everybody, I hate to cut the show short tonight, but between the technical, I can see right now my phone's about ready to cut off again. Everybody's starting to get kind of fuzzy on me. So I want to say thank you guys for everything tonight. Thank you, TRG Toys and Collectibles, for sponsoring us to bring the show to you. We'll be coming back every 2 weeks again until a good series comes out to review. Then we'll kind of go from there. But before I leave, Brendan, Travis, you guys have anything else you want to bring out to the Star Wars world?
Star Wars Outlaws comes out end of next week.
I'm glad you reminded me. I didn't forget that.
I'm playing through Jedi Survivor now to get caught up. Like, not that they're anything connected, but got to get my Star Wars games in.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me about that. I think I'm gonna pick that one up. That looks fun. Getting to play a non-Jedi scoundrel-esque type character, but it's a female character, so I'm sure the reviews are already out saying how awful the game is even before it's released. Because again, that's what we do. So my closing thought is going to be, from here until just in perpetuity, let's reserve judgment on content, whether it's video games, TV series, movies, until we've actually seen them. And then you can make an informed opinion on whether you liked it or not.
That's cute.
I know it's asking a lot.
That's not going to happen.
A lot to let logic dictate and common sense. But I'm pleading, you Star Wars fans, let's not bash Skeleton Crew until you've actually seen at least the first 2 episodes that come out on December 3rd. Until then, just
December 4th, it's free game.
Just keep your mouth shut. But after December 3rd, that's all you've actually seen it, and you're not just making up, opinions based on no information.
Yeah, and then for my final thoughts, obviously Star Wars Rivals, the 2nd series has come out for that. You can find it at some Targets. I still haven't found it in stores up here yet. I still need to order some of my pieces. There is a special piece on Amazon that you can pre-order, and it depends on what happens in October. If I am down at Nashville, I am at works with somebody to make an unofficial Rivals tournament that will be happening at Nashville as well. And this guy is pretty well known in the Star Wars world, especially if you like audiobooks. That's all I'll put on that. So it'll be pretty interesting if this works out. It'll be kind of nice to have a nice little tournament and have some fun with Star Wars Rivals. Again, everybody, also too, mental health, very important. I will say this. I saw a lot of people break down at Fan Expo how crowded it was, from tears to anxiety to pain, everything else there. I know it's tough sometimes, but remember, there's always somebody there to help you out. If you don't have that somebody, please call 988, simple 3 numbers, mental crisis hotline. They're there to help you guys. Be safe out there. We lose too many friends and family to suicide, and it's something that we can help prevent. So again, everybody, we know how much that means to me. Mental health is very important for everybody. You're not weak for asking for help, everybody. So until again, we'll see you guys here soon. Hopefully I'll have my computer fixed and I'm not coming at you in this little square. I just did my McDonald's like Vogue there. That was pretty cool. Yeah. But until next time, everybody, may the force be with you, and I can't wait to see you all again.
Peace.